shows wisdom, and she says, if it seems good to the king, let the king and Haman come this day to the banquet that I prepared for him. And so the king sends for Haman, and they go to this banquet. And again, the king asks, what do you want? What is your wish? I'll give you up to half of the kingdom. And Esther says, again, my petition is this: if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them tomorrow, and I will do as the king has said. So Haman's feeling pretty good about himself. He doesn't know Esther's Jewish. That fact, like her name, is hidden. So he gets called into this special high stature, like glorious banquet, intimate with the king and his queen. And he goes out and he's so happy with himself until he sees Mordecai, and he sees Mordecai sitting in the gate. And every time he sees Mordecai, like Mordecai's got free rent in his head, it just drives him nuts that Mordecai's still alive. But Haman goes home, and he calls for all his friends and his wife, and he starts to brag, basically. It says Haman told them of the glory of his riches, the multitude of his children, and all the things by which the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and the servants of the king. And Haman said, and Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king to the banquet that she prepared, but me. And tomorrow I'm also invited with her to the king. And then he says, but darn it, Mordecai the Jew is still alive in the gate, and it's bugging me. And so Zeresh's wife says, all right, you know what? Build a gallows 50 cubits high, so everyone can see it, basically. And tomorrow speak to the king that Mordecai may be hanged on it. And then go cheerfully with the king into the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he had this gallows built. And if you do any research, you'll figure out that this is not the kind of gallows that we see in old Western movies. That the way the Persians executed people was by an impalement. Like, it wasn't a crucifixion the way we think of crucifixion, and it wasn't a hanging by a rope. This is 50 cubits high impaling stakes to drop people on and to let them die. You go check that. And Mordecai's just so happy. Haman is just so happy. He thinks all his plans are coming true. And Esther's playing it very conscript and very subtle. And that's sort of the cliffhanger we're on right now. And that's about where it's at. I might make another little tiny connection here before Joey leaves. The mirrors between then and now, to me, are pretty significant. When we get to the end of this, I'm going to talk about them a lot more. But, this sort of play back and forth between the Jews and the people of Amalek, I think, is this thing that we see even in our day today. And I think it's significant and symbolic that when the Palestinians from Gaza went into the communities of Kfar Aza and the surrounding kibbutzes, that they killed any man, any woman, and any child that they found. And so when I talk about the things that are happening, and not only did they kill them, by the way, they were so happy and joyful to kill them, they broadcasted on their GoPros. They turned on the people who they were killing. They turned on their Facebook. They filmed it on their Facebook for their families to see, and they just rejoiced in that action of that day. And so, like, this story hits me in a very real way, and it speaks to something that I think is truly continuing until the end of the age. And so here we are. Haman's riding high. Mordecai is in a state of anticipation and probably anxiety over this coming decree, as is Esther. But something's brewing under the scenes. And Esther is taken now, an audience with the king and a whole banquet to figure out what she's going to do and how she's going to approach the situation. And so that's it. Do we have any other comments, questions? Toby, Anna, if y'all want to come up and say anything before the end of this, you're more than welcome to, as is John, although I think John said maybe he couldn't. Okay. So this will happen again next week. Before you go, Joey, I'm going to close this out in prayer. Our Father who is in heaven, Father, may your name be sanctified. May your kingdom come. May this war with Amalek end. May your people return to you and cry out to you. Blessed be he who comes in the name of Yah. May your Messiah come and demolish the enemies of Israel and establish your kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. And please continue to nourish us with your word, to provide for our daily needs, and teach us to be merciful, humble, and full of awe of you and the things that you say and that you want our lives to be. Every day, may we constantly get close to you and live the lives that you've called us to in sincerity and in truth. And Father, please keep us from all the tests. Father, do not let us be tested, but if it is your will that we have to suffer a test, please equip us and give us the favor and the mercy to be delivered from our tests and to do the things the way that you would have them done, and not to be as King Saul, but to be as Mordecai and as Esther. In the name of our wonderful, precious King, Yahushua, who sits at your right hand, Father, may he come back soon. Amen.
Amen.
Joey, you made it.
In a bustling park.